Tonight on KPBS Evening Edition, the Del Mar racetrack deals with 2 horse deaths just hours after opening day.
Thankfully, very rare, unfortunate accidents.
We have a live report on the incident straight ahead. Plus, Congressman Duncan Hunter is fighting back against more controversy. Why his campaign is getting pushback from the U.S. Marine Corps.
Something big is coming to Comic-Con. I'll have the story, and Evening Edition starts now.
Good evening. It's Thursday, July 18th. Thanks for joining us. I'm Ebony Monet. The controversy over horse racing continues. 2 horses died this morning after colliding during a training session at the Del Mar racetrack. Del Mar officially kicked off racing season yesterday and has already been under scrutiny from animal activists. KPBS reporter Matt Hoffman is in Del Mar now to explain what happened. Matt.
Yeah, Ebony, we're here standing outside the racetrack where earlier this morning 2 horses collided in what racing officials are calling a freak collision. Basically, the way it was explained to us was a horse bucked off a jockey, then made a U-turn and ran directly head-on into another horse. One jockey was taken to the hospital but is expected to be okay. These are the first horse deaths of the Del Mar racing season after opening day yesterday. Now, today, though, horse racing went on business as usual, with thousands of people here watching. Del Mar officials said collisions like this are extremely rare. This happened around 6:45 this morning, and it's unclear why the horse bucked off the jockey. To be clear, though, the horses were not euthanized. They died on impact. Track officials say protocol was followed and no one is to blame for this accident. Also, there are no plans to change how they conduct their morning warm-ups.
Yes, everything was followed correctly this morning. Yeah, these horses, one was galloping, as I understand it, and there were 3 horses that were breaking from the starting gate out there for a workout, and the horse made a U-turn that was galloping. Carly Gaines's horse, Jock, came off and went into one of those 3 horses. Horses run into each other at tracks, in the farm, out in the wilderness. This is just one of those, thankfully, very rare, unfortunate accidents.
Yeah, back out here live. And now people like animal rights groups say that, if horse racing cannot be done without horses dying, then horse racing shouldn't be happening at all. They blame the racing industry for these 2 deaths. Ebony?
Matt, even though the track officials said that it was a rare, isolated incident, will state officials investigate?
Yes, they are investigating, and the California Horse Racing Board agrees that this was an accident, but they are doing a follow-up investigation. The preliminary investigation showed that the 2 horses' necks were broken, and that was their cause of death. And here in Del Mar, Matt Hoffman, KPBS News.
Thanks, Matt. The U.S. Marine Corps is demanding Congressman Duncan Hunter remove a Marine logo from a campaign mailer. KPBS military reporter Steve Walsh explains why.
In a campaign mailer given to KPBS, Hunter, a retired Marine major, includes the line, "As a Marine, I'll never forget the 1972 Olympic murders." That's a jab at his Democratic opponent, Amar Campanajjar, and an unproven charge that Hunter continues to make that the Democrats' grandfather was tied to the Munich bombings. The mailer also shows pictures of Congresswoman Ilhan Omar and Rashida Tlaib, 2 of the 4 Democratic congresswomen who were the subject of President Trump's recent racist tweets. Reached by phone, Campanajjar says Hunter should turn away from such tactics.
Content of the mail piece has been discredited. It's now being reprimanded by the Marine Corps because it doesn't follow campaign guidelines. So, in things big and small, Congressman Duncan Hunter thinks he lives by a different set of rules than the rest of us.
The Marine Corps issued a letter telling Hunter to stop using the Marine Corps symbol of the anchor, globe, and eagle, and the logo, "No better friend, no worse enemy." The Marines say that not only are the symbols copyrighted, they are protected by federal law, and using the material would imply the Corps endorses a candidate or position. The Hunter campaign released a statement saying, in part, it is personally disappointing to Congressman Hunter that he is now being told that he cannot use his motto or the image that thousands of Marines like Congressman Hunter have used for tattoos, coins, T-shirts, hats, books, posters, and multiple other items of personal sentiment. The Hunter campaign says it will comply with the Marines' letter. Steve Walsh, KPBS News.
Happening now, Comic-Con 2019. Today is the first full day of the excitement. More than 130,000 people are expected to attend this year. The annual 5-day convention adds nearly $150 million to San Diego's economy. This year, there's a new Godzilla exhibit. KPBS arts reporter Beth Accomando was there to see the booth and how fans reacted.
Godzilla was born in 1954 out of an atomic blast and out of the imaginations of producer Tomoyuki Tanaka, filmmaker Ashiro Honda, and special effects genius Eiji Tsuburaya. Another key factor in bringing the giant kaiju to life was suit actor Haru Nakajima. Suit actors brought the giant monster to life even into the new millennium, and one of those suits is on display at Toho's Comic-Con booth.
When in 1954 Godzilla first came with a human being actually inside, it weighed about 220 pounds.
Toho's Akito Takahashi has the coolest job title ever, head of project management for the Godzilla Strategic Conference. He says Toho felt the 65th birthday of its character merited the company's first Comic-Con booth and some repackaging that included giving the cinema icon his own Twitter handle and Instagram account on Monday.
Yes, absolutely. We're rebranding and repackaging and making him even better.
Old or new, anything Godzilla gets the attention of the legal geek's Joshua Gilliland.
So it's preview night, and I came straight to the Godzilla booth because I want one of those 65th anniversary Bandai toys because I mean, that belongs on my bookshelf. So I'm glad to be here for that and look forward to getting into line shortly.
The screen-used props in the booth gave Gilliland something to geek over as he prepared for his panel, Long Live the King of Kaiju, about the legal ramifications of monster destruction.
And we're going to talk about like who pays the cleanup costs for Hedorah. Like, could you trace it back to the oil companies that did the oil spills?
Reimi Tadaishi uses Godzilla in teaching a class about Japanese science fiction at National University. At the booth, he considered things like the oxygen destroyer that killed Godzilla in the 1954 film.
Symbolic value. Think about what the oxygen destroyer does. It removes oxygen from the water, water being H2O. So you remove the oxygen and what you're left with is hydrogen. And the hydrogen bomb testing was very topical at the time of the first Godzilla movie. There's Mothra. Mothra's my favorite of all the Toho pantheon of monsters, so that's wonderful to see. There's some Ghidra heads. Ghidra, also a symbolic creature. Ghidra originated in 1964, the year that China tested its first atomic bomb.
If you're at Comic-Con, you can visit Godzilla at booth 3535 and even get your picture taken with the 65-year-old and still reigning King of the Monsters. Reporting from Geek Heaven, also known as Comic-Con, I'm Beth Accomando for KPBS News.
While Comic-Con is a big deal this weekend, it's not the only show in town. Also happening, movie-themed concerts, unique art shows, and the return of the 1990s alternative poster boy, Beck. KPBS arts editor Nina Guerin has more.
If you think Comic-Con and classical music aren't a natural fit, think again. The San Diego Symphony will screen 2 movie favorites with live accompaniment. The first film is Galaxy Quest, a 1999 comedy sci-fi starring Tim Allen, Sigourney Weaver, and Alan Rickman. It's about actors pretending they're truly the space crew they portray on a famous TV show. The second screening is the more family-friendly Back to the Future. Watch Marty McFly take the DeLorean back in time as the San Diego Symphony performs the score live. Edward Degas is a French artist famous for his paintings of ballet dancers. See how those works evolved at an exhibition at the California Center for the Arts Escondido. Edgar Degas, the private impressionist, works on paper by the artist and his circle, showcases a more intimate side of the artist with over 100 pieces of his work. You'll see rare drawings, prints, letters, sculptures, and photographs that served as his inspiration. The show also includes work by Degas' circle of friends, including Mary Cassatt, Paul Cézanne, and Henri Toulouse-Lautrec. The show opens this weekend and runs through September. Do you remember when Beck won a Grammy in 2015? He beat out artists like Beyoncé and Ed Sheeran, and the internet was totally confused. But this weekend, you can see why Beck earned that award and why he's considered a music pioneer. The Los Angeles singer-songwriter has evolved since 1994, when he released his first single, Loser. Beck performs a combination of electronic, folk, hip-hop, and jazz, writing complex music and introspective lyrics. The concert also features Cage the Elephant, another band that plays around with musical genres. For KPBS Arts, I'm Nina Guerin.
Well, if you're planning to get out and about this weekend, you're probably wondering about the weather. Meteorologist Dajia Swad has the answer.
Pretty dry conditions across the southwest, but we will start to notice some monsoonal moisture tracking into the Four Corners as well as into the higher grounds across Southern California. So that's something to keep in mind for the extended forecast. But as for tonight, partly cloudy, a low at 63 here in San Diego, cooling down to 62 in Oceanside and a low of 74 in Borrego Springs, 56 in Mount Laguna. And notice as you head further inland away from that coast, clouds are really not a factor. Now, what we will be noticing for tomorrow compared to today is that for Friday, we're more seasonable with our temperatures. Yes, it's still warm, but seasonally warm for California and back in towards the southwest as a whole, back in the Four Corners, Nevada, Arizona. And as we move into our forecast, well, temperatures in the 70s for Oceanside, lower 70s in San Diego with a high of 72 for your Friday, topping off at 107 in Borrego Springs and 78 Mount Laguna with clouds and sun mixing at times, but overall a dry forecast in place as we close out the week. And then as we head into the weekend, well, we'll begin to notice a bit more warmth trying to build back in, as well as some moisture coming back into play across the region as a whole. As I mentioned, we'll start to notice some thunderstorm activity across the Four Corners, and eventually some of that moisture will be translating its way further to our area. But what you will see is temperatures in the mid-70s for Saturday, some sun at the coast as well as some clouds mixing. That ocean influence always going to be a factor here in the coastal areas. We'll continue to see temperatures gradually rise as we head into your Monday and Tuesday with a high nearing 80 on Tuesday at the coast. If you're out to the inland areas, lower 80s Friday and Saturday, plenty of sunshine, then a bit more cloud cover for your Sunday and into Monday. That's that moisture creeping back in, but notice temperatures also rising as well with a high of 89 anticipated Tuesday for inland areas, and we'll be in the triple digits for much of your extended forecast here in the deserts. Looking at partly sunny skies Sunday through your Tuesday and out towards the mountains. We'll be in the upper 70s for Friday and Saturday. Lots of sunshine as you open up your weekend, but a bit more cloud cover into your Sunday and Monday, and we'll be topping off at 81 for your Sunday. Reporting for KPBS News, I'm your meteorologist, Dajia Swad. Back to you.
Summer travel is in full swing, and now is the perfect time to learn some money-saving tips from the pros. In today's Consumer Watch, Mary Maloney takes a look at common hotel booking myths.
When it comes to booking hotels, don't let misinformation stand in the way of savings.
You can always get a hotel deal no matter where you're going. It's just about a strategy of how to do it.
Travel experts say there are 3 hotel booking myths you should consider. Myth number 1, your arrival date doesn't matter. Experts say this is false.
There is actually a right day of the week to check in, and if you do so, you can save up to 47%.
According to travel comparison website Hopper, the least expensive day of the week to check in is Sunday, with Tuesday being the most expensive. Myth number 2, you should always book at the last minute. The pros say not necessarily, because it depends on the destination and date of your travel. But hotels are always eager to book empty rooms.
Hotels operate off of beds and heads policy, so they're trying to reach maximum occupancy every night. And most nights they don't do that.
Myth number 3, if you comparison shop, you'll always find the best price. This one can be true, but experts say play this game wisely in order to save money.
So as soon as you see the deal, book and then monitor that price.
Once you see something better, rebook. For Consumer Watch, I'm Mary Maloney.
You may have already gotten a letter in the mail, a notification from San Diego Gas and Electric saying you'll be moved to a time of use plan. I spoke to KPBS science and technology reporter Shalina Shatlani about what this means for the state and your wallet. So time of use electricity plans have been around for a while. What makes this one unique?
Yeah, so you're right. Time of use electricity plans have been around in the electricity industry for a really long time. And what's new about this is the opting out feature of the SDG&E plan. So SDG&E has had a lot of its business customers on this plan for a while, but residential customers were only able to be in the plan through a pilot program. Now it's a default option.
So what would customers be opting out of?
So you would be opting out of this time of use plan and deciding to stay with the standard plan. And in the past, the amount that you would pay on your electricity bill was based on how much electricity you were using. But now with this time of use plan, it's based on not only how much you're using, but also when you're using it.
So 4 to 9 seems pretty difficult because that's when most of us are getting home from work and school. Why is this the prime time?
Yeah, that's how a lot of people have been reacting to this plan. And the reason why simply is that California's electricity has been changing. Its grid is evolving. And so it's kind of confusing. What exactly does that mean?
To find out, I talked to Scott Anders. He's the director of the Energy Policy Initiative Center at the University of San Diego. Appropriately, we spoke in the middle of a giant solar array on campus. Anders says that over the last decade, the amount of renewables, particularly solar, on the electric grid has increased threefold.
One of the challenges with renewable energy is that they're variable resources. They don't produce energy all the time like traditional resources do, and you can't control them. So solar panels only produce when the sun is shining, and wind turbines only produce when the wind is blowing. So as a consequence, it's created some challenges for grid operators to make sure that they have enough resources at the right times to keep the lights on.
It's all about supply and demand. So when the sun is shining in the morning, there's lots of clean solar energy on the grid. Therefore, the price is cheaper. But in the afternoon, when the sun is going down and demand is going up, there's not as much of this supply. So utilities have to power up their natural gas plants, which is not as clean. The price, therefore, is more expensive. And as demand goes down in the evening, so does the price.
So the same challenges we see now will increase as we add more renewables. And there are some strategies that California is looking at to mitigate those challenges. One is the time of use rates. So if we can align the price we charge customers to the price in the market, that helps to align signals and get people consuming in the middle of the day rather than in the evening.
And the amount of solar on the grid will increase. By 2030, as mandated by state law, 60% of our energy has to come from renewable sources. And so that means these challenges that Scott Anders outlined will only increase. And it's not just SDG&E making this change. The California Public Utilities Commission has mandated that all investor-owned utilities are going to have to make the shift. So SDG&E just happens to be the first one in this transition.
So, Shalini, even though it's mandated, people still seem pretty upset.
Yeah, exactly. People are really upset because, the 4 to 9 period is when most people are coming back from work. They oftentimes have kids that need to get into bed, so they have to cook dinner right after they get home. That's been a common reaction to the 4 to 9 time period. But there are also some people that might benefit from it. For example, I spoke to one woman who runs a daycare out of her home, and she's actually using most of her electricity outside of that peak window. So she might actually be able to save on her electricity bills.
So how is SDG&E preparing customers?
So SDG&E has sent out mailers to all of its customers, and it has information on its website. But residents are still largely concerned, obviously, about whether they'll be able to manage this 4 to 9 peak period. So I spoke to Wes Jones. He's the communications manager at SDG&E.
Okay. At the Energy Innovation Center, you might find SDG&E officials in a model home. It's filled with smart appliances. Jones says these appliances, which have automated timers and delays, can help customers use energy during those cheaper off-peak hours.
What are some things in here that the average person might have, maybe that's not a smart appliance, that they can adjust their lifestyle?
Well, I mean, even like, so obviously if you're going to run your dishwasher and it's not a smart dishwasher, you have to be there. So it's a matter of when do you use that dishwasher? Again, even if you can't program it or set a timer, just think about when you want to use it. If you can wait till after 9 p.m. to start running it on your own, that's going to help you save on your bill.
Jones also mentioned running the laundry after 9 p.m. or adjusting the thermostat to cool the house early in the day. But what if that's just not possible?
The main thing to think about for that type of household is you have a choice. So they do not have to transition to these time of use plans. If they feel like they can't shift any of their usage and they have to use all their appliances during that time, they may find the plan's not right for them and they have the choice to opt out.
Jones says SDG&E will have a 1-year pricing guarantee, where if you end up spending more on this plan, they'll credit you back the difference.
So, Shalina, one thing that stood out to me is Jones said that people can just opt out. But what happens if a lot of people decide that that's exactly what they're going to do?
Yeah, that's a great question, and one that I asked Jones, and he said basically SDG&E is managing this and that it's a long transition, so we'll just have to see.
And I've been speaking with KPBS science and technology reporter Shalina Chailani. Thanks so much.
Thanks for having me.
You can find out more about SDG&E's rate change at kpbs.org. About 100 people gathered in San Ysidro today to remember those who lost their lives in a mass shooting. On this date in 1984, a gunman opened fire at a local McDonald's, killing more than 20 people. KPBS reporter John Carroll shows us how people marked the moment.
It was a hot Wednesday, late in the afternoon, when some lives in this McDonald's would be swept away, others forever changed when a man who, according to his wife, hated immigrants, walked in and opened fire. When it was all over, 21 people from 8 months to 74 years old were dead, 19 wounded. The 77-minute-long incident ended after a San Diego police sniper fired one shot, hitting the gunman in the chest, killing him on the spot. Southwestern College's Higher Education Center now sits where the McDonald's once was.
35 years ago was 1984.
Inside the Higher Education Center, a series of speakers, some that were there that day, remembered the tragedy through personal stories, poetry, and art created by Southwestern students. Pictures of newspaper coverage hold frozen moments from what was at that time the worst mass shooting in American history. Today, it stands as the 7th worst. But these are just temporary displays. Outside, in front of the building, the permanent memorial. A plaque anchors a monument featuring 21 hexagonal pillars, one for every one of the victims who were killed, including 11-year-old David Flores. That's David with his younger brother, Guillermo.
He would have said, "This is nice. Thank you."
Today, Memo Flores is 47. He was in L.A. on that fateful day, but would soon learn that his brother had been with two friends. They rode their bikes to the McDonald's just down the hill from where they lived. They never even made it inside. The murderer shot them down in the parking lot. David and one of his friends died where they were shot. The occasion brought some advice for parents from Memo Flores.
Teach them that life is finite. Appreciate what you got to say. I love you to your mom, give her a hug, or your dad.
San Diego Fire Battalion Chief David Connor was there that day as well. He was 22, had only been a firefighter for 10 months. After someone told he and his crew that people had been shot at the McDonald's, they headed to the scene. They knew it was very serious within seconds of pulling up.
The gunfire towards the fire engine began. They were skipping bullets under the fire engine. He hit the fire engine several times. We were hiding behind the engine. We were hiding behind the wheels. We were hiding behind compartments that were loaded with lots of equipment, anything we could.
One of his fellow firefighters was hit, but the bullet bounced off of his gear. In the days following the tragedy, news came that the McDonald's restaurant would reopen. That hit neighbor Gloria Salas hard, and she began a crusade. Salas and friends eventually gathering more than 10,000 signatures demanding the restaurant be closed. Then one day, while protesting outside the McDonald's, a woman walked up to Salas with a message. The woman was Joan Kroc, the wife of McDonald's founder Ray Kroc.
The property is going to give to you guys in the community, so it's yours. It was amazing.
Years later, Southwestern College would build their higher education center on the site.
Although it was tragic, it doesn't lay as a tragedy. It's built on, this future that they have here.
Turning tragedy into triumph. That's what they called the event here today. An event held in a building where thousands of students have graduated over the years. Silver linings of an unspeakable tragedy that will never be forgotten. In San Ysidro, John Carroll, KPBS News.
Now here's a look at what we're working on for tomorrow in the KPBS newsroom. On Morning Edition, new bike lanes are coming to downtown San Diego, how it will impact dockless bikes and scooters. And on Midday Edition, summer is here and humidity is on the horizon. But what makes more humidity in the air? We take a look. You can find tonight's stories on our website, kpbs.org/evening edition. Thanks for joining us. Have a great night.